although we are giving shiurim on the parsha, but in order for us to go and understand both shlach, which we just mentioned, which has to do with the sending of the meraglim, Korach, which goes and argues with Moshe Rabeinu, Chukas, and all the other parshas, which are the way Moshe Rabeinu is the one which is leading us throughout the Midbar. He is the Torah's Moshe, Shemos and Nafsholah. He is the Moshe Rabeinu, which he was the one which was Moshe Nefesh, and he was the one which led us. And the first, and Moshe, Hu Go Rishon, Hu Go Alach, and everything is based on Moshe Rabeinu. We would like to go back and give us small understanding. Who is this Moshe Rabeinu, and what is so great about him, which the Torah is why everything is always mentioned Moshe Rabeinu. It's mentioned in Parshas Baloscha. Vatedaber Miriam v'Aaron b'Moshe, and Miriam and Aaron spoke critically about Moshe Rabeinu, and they said, Vayomu, and they said, Harach, ak b'Moshe diber Hashem, halo gam bonu diber. Did Moshe Hashem just speak hasn't he spoken to us too? So we are also, and we know Aaron and Miriam are the ones. Aaron, because of him, there was the many things. He was one who helped Moshe Rabeinu. He was one which spoke to Paro. Miriam is Beresha. Miriam, she was the one which also said the Nevuah when she was a small child, that, and only because of her was Moshe Rabeinu actually around, and she was one which waited for Moshe Rabeinu. So Aaron and Miriam were not, we know, they were, there's Anan, Akovet, and then there's the Beresha Miriam. Many things, and many miracles were done by Moshe, but many were also done in the schus of Aaron and Miriam, and they together all led the Jewish people. So what is so unique about Moshe Rabeinu, that when they spoke something, Hashem said, "Vayish Moshe onav miyod mikol adam asher pnei adama." And because of this, Hashem told her to go out, and she would get leprosy. And then we know the whole parsha. How is this that Moshe Rabeinu was so much greater than Aaron and Miriam? As we know, Moshe Rabeinu himself said he can't do certain things. He needs Aaron to help him, and he needed Miriam. And all of a sudden we find that Moshe Rabeinu, he's called Anav Mikol Adam Asher Pnei Adam. And Moshe Rabeinu, Hashem says, Peh, I spoke to mouth, in other words, face to face. You are all Nevi'im, but he is something above all of you. He's above not only the later Nevi'im, he's also above Aaron and Miriam. What is so unique about Moshe Rabeinu? And that's the first thing. The second thing we have to understand is, how is it that Moshe Rabeinu was Anav Mikol Adam Asher Pnei Adam? He was the most humble person. What is humbleness? Is humbleness just that a person feels that he is less than someone? Is that humbleness? If it is, Moshe Rabeinu knew his milas. Moshe Rabeinu said, I am the one which took you out of Mitzrayim. Anochi yomed beinechem bein Hashem lekechem. I am the one which is standing between you and Hashem. Mi'ayin libasa, which we have in this week's parsha, in Baloscha. How do I have meat? I am above the level of meat, and therefore I have to go and give over. Vayotzel min haruach, I have to give over from my spirit to lower people, that they can be the connecting, the people which connect me, which I am above, to the Am Yisrael. Moshe Rabeinu, it's called Tefillah Moshe Ish Elokim, Chazal tell us, Moshe Rabeinu, Chetzi L'mayla, K'mo Elokim. His half above, he was like Hashem. V'chetzi L'mata, he is Ish. So how we say Moshe was the most humble person? So this, we know the answer. The answer is given at different places, but at length it's written in the set of Maimorim of the previous Rebbe in Tafshin Yud on Shavuos. And the Rebbe has 3 Maimorim over there. And the second Maimor, which is the Maimor Vayara which is the Maimor which was actually said in Tzadik Zayin, a year, 13 years before, and was given out after the previous Rebbe's Histalkos. So the previous Rebbe writes like this: the Moshe Rabeinu knew who he was. However, and this is the difference between Bid Anova and Shiflut. Shiflut means a person is low and makes himself really humble and low. Anova, we know, even though Shiflut is a very interesting thing also, one of the big tzaddikim of Mendel, Vitebsko, as he's called by us, of Mendel of Horodok, he used to sign himself a name at the end, Hashafel Be'emes, the one which is actually really humble. And one of the people which wanted to mock him, so also signed himself Hashafel Be'emes. And of Mendel of Vitebsk, of Mendel Horodok, he wrote back to him, you are Shafel Be'emet. You are really a low person. In other words, from one thing of Mendel of Horodok, he went around kingly, like we also find other tzaddikim, like the tzaddik of Ruzin, which they walked around on the outside kingly. From the other side, they were humble inside. And their humbleness was something which isn't something which is on the outside. Externally, they looked like they were very princely, but on the inside, they were broken. So this is what humbleness is. So the Friedrich Rebbe writes as follows. He writes on page 236 in Torah, in the Sefer Maimorim Tafshin Yud, Another eina shiflus mitzad prises hanefesh. It's not that he's lower, that he doesn't find anything good. What is it that he doesn't feel? He doesn't feel himself like he is his own being. That even though he knows that he does Torah mitzvahs, and he does Mesiras Nefesh, and everything. Moshe Rabeinu said him, ayin, if not for me, macheni no mesifrecha. Moshe Rabeinu went and he had the biggest Mesiras Nefesh for Am Yisrael. It's called Torah's Moshe Shemos Nafshe Alav. Moshe Rabeinu knew who he was. However, he didn't feel himself that he is something great. He knew everything, but lo machzik toiva lanafshe, because he felt that everything he has is not him. It's what was given from him from L'mayla. Was given from him, a Yerusha from his fathers. Therefore, he felt that if someone else would have been given the same thing, so he says, Efsher, like the Rebbe says, the Achim Haylo Kochas Elum, if another person would have had the same Kochas, the same strength which I had, which was born from such tzaddikim, such neshama nismala bayis kuliyora. He was the one which Hashem spoke to him. Hayamegales hakochas yoisa. He would have even brought out a higher level. He would have revealed within himself something even greater than Moshe Rabeinu did. So he felt, number one, it wasn't his. Everything which he had, which was given to him. So someone which inherits $1 billion, is he special that he made the $1 billion? No, he received it. It's a Yerusha. Same too, Moshe Rabbeinu felt that everything he has is a Yerusha which he received. And on the contrary, he felt that he did a few things wrong, according to his level, and he wasn't 100%. Someone else could have come to a higher level than Moshe Rabbeinu. This is Moshe Rabbeinu. The question is, therefore, he was an Anav. The question begins, Moshe Rabbeinu, his main thing wasn't just that he was an Anav, and especially in this parsha, what are they speaking about? Nevuah, We're speaking about the level of Moshe Rabeinu, not as only a leader, as a Navi. And the Navi, we know one of the things of a Navi is that he is an Anav. That he is. So the question is, why is this so important, the idea of Nevuah, number one? And number two is, when Moshe Rabeinu is an Anav, so we know, Chazal tells us, come Navi Ol B'Yisrael K'Moshe. So therefore, we know this is because of his Anava, this is because he is the greatest Anavi. He knew that he was the greatest Navi. So again, how did Moshe Rabeinu not do it? Not know that he is the greatest Navi? So the Rebbe goes and elaborates, which we won't go into the whole elaboration, but he speaks about the end of, in short, he speaks about the end of Masechta Sota, this Sicha from Chelik Yud Gimel, and the Rebbe goes and elaborates and says, the end of Masechta Sota says, on Mishames Rebbe Botla Nova V'Yireschet. When Rebbe passed on, so became Botla nullified, Anova and Yireschet. And the Gemara says, Omar Reb Yosef says, Letisni Anova Dikana. He told him, do not say Anova became Botla, because I am Anova. I am an Anav. And Reb Nachman said the Tana, Lotisni Yireschet Ikana. Don't say Yireschet became Botla, because I am Yirechet. Now the question is, number one, how does a person say, as Rashi says, I am an Anav? This is just the opposite of Anivus. We know there's a famous Chassidic joke where there was one time, in the times of the Alter Rebbe, there were people walked down that they said they are the town's biggest Anav. So one time, one of the Chassidim of the Alter Rebbe said they will give one of the psukim of Atares to the world's the biggest Anav, and the five people will look around that everyone should say, please, you go first, because you're bigger Anav. An Anav is not one which fools himself. An Anav is one which knows who he is, and even furthermore, he says, I am an Anav, and therefore you cannot say Anav became Batal. Humbleness. And the bigger question is, if each one knew about the other one, why did each one say about himself his Maila? He should have said, the other person has the Maila. Or we have both Mailas. Why did Rabbi Yosef say, I am an Anav, therefore it's not Batal? Rabbi Yosef should have said, on Reb Nachman that he has Anova. And Reb Nachman should have said on Rabbi Yosef that he has Yorechet. So the Rebbe goes and elaborates why each one said that on himself, because each one felt that the person's Yerechet or Anova was not something which came. Rabbi Yosef, the question is, who is Rabbi Yosef? Rabbi Yosef is one which he is called Morachita. He is the one which has Rav Koch Betfu Ashar. He knew everything. Rabbi Yosef knew the whole Talmud, everything. Everyone needs to come on to him. But is the idea when a person has everything, he has the wheat, is because he is something special? It's because the ground comes from the soil which is in him. So again, he felt that it's not him. It's not his learning Torah, and it's not his specialty. Therefore, his level which he had, so he was an Anav, because what did he felt? He felt that everything everything which he has is not from his own avodah. It's because he had soil. Like we said about Moshe Rabeinu, he had great parents and his father was Amram Yocheved and everything. And therefore, when he learned Torah, he thought that Torah didn't make him special. And same thing, he felt that the reason he had Yorechet was because the Torah which he learned caused him that he's not able to do an Aveir. The Torah elevated him and changed him into such a thing. So therefore, he didn't mention himself Yorechet. He only mentioned himself Anova. On the contrary, Reb Nachman didn't mention himself. He mentioned himself Yorechet and not another, each one, because he felt that what he did was another became bottle, he said, because he knew, even though he knew the mile of Reb Yosef, Reb Nachman didn't say Reb Yosef has another. What did he say? Because he said that the Torah changed him, that he's not shaykh to do an Aveira. Therefore, you can't say in him that he's another. The Torah made him change, made him a different person. So the question is, was there any avoda in it or not? So this is why each one, as the Rebbe elaborates, why each one spoke about the uniqueness in someone else. But what is another? Another is something like we said before. Another is a level that a person knows how great he is. The question is another even greater than Yorechet or not? The Rebbe speaks about in two different places, Bavli and Yerushalmi. If another is greater than Yorechet or it's lower than Yorechet, and as the Rebbe comes out at the end, there are two levels in Nava, or as the Rebbe even goes, and there are three levels in humbleness. There's one level is, like we said before, that a person is humble because he felt whatever he has is not his own thing, it's only because what he was given milmayla. And then we said another thing, that therefore he doesn't, and the second person might have even, like we said before, if he had the same uniqueness, and the same neshama which he had, and the same parents, the same teacher, he might have even been greater. This is the first level. Therefore, therefore he didn't feel that he is something unique and something special. On the contrary, it's only everything which is given for him, a matana from the second. Next level is, not only doesn't he feel that he is special, but he even humbles himself because of in front of each person. Why is he humble before each person? Because he feels that if the person would have had these things, the person surely would have been a lot better than him. The second person, not perhaps would have been better, surely would have been better than that. And we say even more. That it says, Moshe Anav Mikol Ha'adam. Ha'adam, Atem Kuyim Adam, which is the Yid. Ha'adam is even the Goy. Ha'adam, it says Atem Kuyim Adam. Ha'adam even includes the Goy. And the Rebbe explains in another Sikha, which is from Chelik Chaf Aleph, from Chelik Lamed Ches, from Chelik Lamed Ches, the Rebbe says, and he says, the first another comes from a cheshbon of Tam Vadas. In other words, an intellectual thing which you are saying that if the person would have had it, perhaps he would have reached a higher level. The second one doesn't come from a cheshbon which is Tam Vadas. The cheshbon is he makes a thing. He says he is so bottled, he is so humble in himself that he is nothing compared to Hashem. And this comes from this humbleness which he has, since he's so humble in his own eyes, therefore every person is better than him. This is what we mentioned also from Mendel of Haradok. Then there's a third level, which is a total higher level, which this is the level which we're speaking about, the level which is Nevuah. That Nevuah, we say, that has different milet, there are different attributes which we have in Nevuah, and one of them is another. And different places speak about and stress another as the main specialty, the main uniqueness of Moshe Rabeinu, as we have in this week's parsha, which we say, Moshe Anav, and Lo Ken Moshe, Avdi Moshe, that he, Panim upon Diber, that he said, just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that he is the greatest, he's above the whole world, and he's mashpil atzmai, he lowers himself, hamashpili liros b'shamayim v'aretz, and as Chassidus explains, his lowering himself into Shemayim and Aretz, which goes in the higher worlds and lower worlds, is the same hashpala, the same level of lowering himself, because he's totally above world. And he lowers himself into the world because he is totally above, and it's a level which is connected with Eibusher. So too, this level is that Like the Zohar tells us, Lav urcha the milsa lishtoy b'milad yoita. The malka lishtoy b'milad yoita. It's not the way of a king to go and do simple things. He's not going to play with little toys. Just like we are not going to, a person who is in a higher level will be embarrassed and won't play with simple things. Same too, Hashem will surely not do it. And this level is at this level which is by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Same level which is also Moshe Rabeinu, that he was, just like Hashem is Gadol, Hashem umhul u'mayoid, and Emasai Gadol. When is he called Gadol? When he comes into this world. So this also causes the different levels of a Nevuah. And therefore, because of this level of Nevuah, not only doesn't he feel himself greater, but he feels that even though he knows who he is and everything, but everything is not because of the Nivra, it's because of the Koach of Borah. And because of the Koach of Borah, therefore, he has Hashras HaShechina, the Tegila Likus, which Hashem spoke with him. This is the level of Moshe Rabeinu. Now we understand who Moshe Rabeinu is. Moshe not only that he felt that perhaps someone would be greater than him, perhaps, or he felt that he was batel in essence, and therefore someone surely would do if he had all of his attributes, he'd be better than him. But he was just like he felt that this is an attribute of Hashem, just like the attribute of Hashem is Hashem lowers himself. And as we said before, that so Hashem goes and lowers himself. Dafka in this world, Moshe Rabeinu goes and lowers himself in this world. Chazal tell us that Moshe Rabeinu, Adam mikol Adam shel pnei Adama, Chazal say, Afilu even into the level, the last door of Ikvus and Mashiach. What is so unique about the level of the door of Mashiach? The Mashiach's level of generation is so low that Moshe Rabeinu Afilu, even for this generation, he had bittul. He sees all the different things in this generation. Moshe Rabeinu knew his Mesiras Nefesh. He knew everything. However, he saw that we have all these different, such darkness in this world, and everything, and all the different nisyonot which we have in this world, and still we're able to do and to break ourselves and to do what Hashem says. And how do we do this? Only because we're connected with the tzaddik. Therefore, he had a bittul, he had this special humility for our generation. And we will finish with a beautiful thought that Chazal say, Hera HaKadosh Baruch Hu LeMoshe Dor V'Dorsha. Hashem showed Moshe all the generations and its leaders. So there were two of the great Talmidim, the disciples of Melech Luzensk, which asked, how does Hashem show first the generation, then the leader? He should first show the leader, and then their generation. So each one explained it in a different way. Rav Mendel of Rimenov, which was one of the four big Talmidim, students of the Melech Luzensk, said, if he'd show me, so Moshe Rabeinu would say, he can be a leader? He can't be a leader. Who is he? So he showed the generation, such a low generation, so he knows he can deal with this generation. He can lower himself to his generation. The Choz of Lublin, the Seer of Lublin, which was, like some people call him, the greatest of the four students of Melech Luzensk, at least one of the four great students, and the one that brought the idea of Chassidus to Poland. So he said, Moshe Rabeinu saw the generation. He saw the last generation of Mashiach's times. And he went to the Eibush and said, Ribono shel olam, how will the Jews be able to be taken out of this darkness? How will they be able to withstand all these different persecutions and different nisyonot and everything? So he said, he will show us. Then he was in the time of, even though he was a student of Melech Luzensk, but he saw Lev Yitzchak of Berditchev, So he said, he will show us Kablev Yitzchak Badichev, and he will be Melamed Schus. He will find a merit for each and every one of us. Therefore, Dor, he said, who will be able to save him? Kablev Yitzchak Badichev and his generation will be able to save him. Our generation, not only do we have the Rebbe which taught us a schus on each and every Jew, but the Rebbe brought each and every person to do a schus, to do Torah mitzvahs, brought each and every place something and enhanced Yiddishkeit, and gave everyone a connection to Yiddishkeit and a love for Yiddishkeit. And therefore, as we will speak about in Gimel Tammuz, therefore, Her Dor V'Dorshav, he went and he showed each generation, and he saw the generation of our thing, and then Moshe Rabeinu said to Hashem, okay, now I'm content, I'm happy, I understand both. I have bittul, I have humbleness for this generation, and I understand how they will be redeemed.